Well, I spoke to Mike Vigil. He's the former chief of international operations for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency. He's also a contributor to online publication Cipher Brief. I asked him how much progress China has made in fighting the drug trade.
Well, China has been cracking down on the illicit drug trade for a number of years. The big problem is that they have not been able to contain it, and the drug abuse, the drug addiction that is currently plaguing China has just mushroomed. And unfortunately, China is a victim of its location, its size, its population, and its economy. It's very close to the most notorious opium and heroin producing countries in the world. You have the Golden Triangle consisting of Burma, Laos, Thailand, and then you have the Golden Crescent, which is Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Additional to that, they have been creating new psychoactive drugs like methamphetamine, MDMA, which is better known as ecstasy, and other drugs. Keep in mind that China also produces 85% of the world's total synthetic opioid.
So, Mike, what kind of drugs are we talking about here? And are these drugs mostly staying in China, or are they leaving the country?
There's some that transit China into the United States, into other parts in Europe. But the fact of the matter is that 70% of all the illicit drugs consumed in China are produced in China.
And how much of a problem is drug addiction inside China?
It's a huge problem, simply because, China has always had issues with drugs. We're talking about the first and second opium wars, and then also the heavy consumption of opium and heroin. But we're starting to see a shift from opioids into other drugs, again, crystal methamphetamine, MDMA, and then also ketamine.
And according to a government report from China, the variability of synthetic drugs has accelerated, and there are new types of drugs that continue to emerge. How much of a concern are these new drugs?
Well, they're a heavy concern because China has been trying to bring all these drugs, these synthetic opioids, under control. However, the laboratory operators, they changed the molecular structure of these opioids, which means that China then has to bring those under control, and it takes anywhere from 8 months to 12 months to be able to do that. And by the time they've done that, the laboratory operators have already changed the molecular structure again. So it's an uphill battle, but I have to give China credit. They are trying to stem the flow. But again, it's going to take a lot of resources. It's going to take a global effort to help China and help a lot of other countries that are afflicted by these deadly drugs.
And our thanks to Mike Vigil.